So I'm going to break down the Templar and Warden as healers into 6 different metrics, and I'm going to compare these metrics between the two classes. As you can see here, I've listed 6 that I thought that were the most important, and these are solely my opinion. Alright, so user friendliness. Which class is easier to use? Which is better for beginners? I would say this goes to the Templar, especially for those starting out healing. The amount of skill and situational awareness and positioning is far less important in a Templar than it is for a Warden. The heals of a Templar tend to auto-target teammates much easier, meaning you don't have to necessarily be in a specific spot to heal your team. Just click and boom. Now the Warden, on the other hand, does not have the same easiness to use compared to the Templar. Positioning is important since many of the healing spells in a Warden is cast on the ground, so you must be wary of where to place them. Also, its main burst heal, Fungal Growth, is cone-shaped in nature, so you always have to have full view of your team in order to heal them. Now, who has the better burst heal? The stronger one-click heal. Now, in case you don't know what burst heal means, I'll quickly define it. A burst heal in gaming jargon is defined by the ability to instantaneously heal a target once, as opposed to its counterpart, a hot or a heal over time, which is a steady stream of healing over a period of time. Again, burst healing goes to the Templar. The Breath of Life and Ritual of Rebirth and Rite of Passage ultimate are just simply too bursty for the Warden's Fungal Growth. When it comes down to a teammate who has super low health and you need to save them right away, the burst healing is very necessary and it is your oh shit situation, so the Templar wins here. Now, a hot or a heal over time, right? As mentioned previously, a hot is defined as a steady stream of healing over a period of time and is usually a lot cheaper in terms of the resources you have to expend to cast them. This metric goes out to the Warden. The Warden has more tools in its toolkit to provide a more sustainable heal over time. Hots typically have advantages over burst heals, and that advantage, as I mentioned earlier, is being far less costly. Although the Templar has better burst heals, those burst heals on the Templar can quickly drain their resources really quick and just aren't sustainable in the long run, whereas hots or heal over times are. And since they last many seconds on a target after being cast, resources can be replenished quite easily. So the Warden wins here. Now, group buffs. I define this metric as a class who can buff their team, whether it be buffing the team's resistances, giving them shields, weakening enemies, etc., etc. Now, for this metric, I believe the Warden is far superior. The Templar basically has 0 skills to buff its team. It is almost exclusively a pure healer if you're going to use it as such. Now, the Warden, on the other hand, has Frost Cloak, which grants the team a significant amount of physical and spell resistance. Impaling Shards, which help to immobilize enemies and can buy your weaker teammates some time to kill, and a passive buff called Maturation on its healing tree, which increases a teammate's health points or HP by 10% if you heal them. All in all, when it comes to buffs, the Warden comes out on top by far. Now, group resource sustain. This metric is going to be defined as the ability of your healer to keep up the magicka and stamina resources of your team. And now this has to go out to the Templar. The Templar has a skill from the Aegis Spear skill line that allows your team to restore their resources when activated, and this spell is called Spear Shards. In its Restoring Light skill tree, it has a skill called Restoring Aura, which applies magicka steal for your team when damaging enemies. However, when this skill is morphed into Repentance, it becomes a godly source of near infinite stamina regen as long as there's corpses on the ground for you to desecrate. In contrast, the Warden has 0 skills in its tree to keep up resources for its team. It is still able to use Energy Orb from the Undaunted skill line, but that is a skill that any class can get access to, which is why this metric unanimously goes out to the Templar. Now, versatility. This is a very arbitrary metric as it's not easily defined, but it's just basically describing the ability of a class to adapt and function in different situations. Now, I would give this metric to the Warden simply due to its diverse skill tree and its ability to group buff and etc, etc. I mentioned it earlier, but essentially, if you're a Templar healer, you're going to be stuck as a Templar healer, right? And providing resources most of the time, whereas the Warden can assist in immobilizing, providing shields, and all that other jazz. Right? The Warden has a very versatile skill tree, although it's slightly less bursty in terms of healing compared to the Templar. So I would give the Warden the check here in terms of versatility. Alright, so in conclusion, which class is best for a healer? Now, I'll be fully transparent. I have used both, and I personally prefer the Templar. I started ESO to actually play the PvP aspect of this game and find that the burstiness of its heal spells are just too good to give up compared to a Warden. However, I have seen Wardens that were amazing in PvP and even better in PvE content as healers. So at the end of the day, it really is just dependent on your playstyle and how you play, right? So I don't think there's a better healing class. There are pros and cons to both, but at the end of the day, it's all in how you use it. Size don't matter. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found this helpful, especially if you were like a beginner healer that wasn't sure what class to take or what class to pick. So yeah, please like and subscribe if you found everything helpful. Have a great night.